Before we continue, I should remind you that we're just giving an overview of the functions of each piece of equipment in the studio at this point. The idea is to explain each piece of equipment visually so that in the next video we can use these visuals to show different types of mixes. We'll then go into more detail in each piece of equipment in future videos. As you can well guess, we could do a whole video on EQ alone, and we will. We'll begin our discussion of EQ by covering the differences between types of equalizers. Next, we'll explore all of the different frequency ranges between 20 and 20,000 Hertz.
What about the other ones, the higher ones?
EQ is a change in the volume of specific frequency ranges of a sound. It's the same as the tone controls on a normal stereo, bass and treble. Now, there are three main types of EQ found in the studio: graphics, parametrics, and roll-offs, high-pass and low-pass filters. You all know what a graphic EQ looks like. It has a volume control for each frequency. You can turn a frequency up or down using the volume sliders. Visually, we'll show frequency as a function of up and down, so we have low to high frequencies here. We're showing the volume of a particular frequency as the brightness in that band. For example, if you turned up the highs around 5,000 Hertz, you would see it get brighter in that frequency range like this. On a graphic EQ, you choose which frequency you will turn up or down by putting your finger on the correct slider. On a parametric EQ, you turn the frequency sweep knob in order to select the frequency that you want to turn up or down. Besides a sweep knob, a parametric also has a bandwidth knob, which controls the range of frequencies that are to be turned up or down. On a graphic EQ, when you choose a particular frequency to turn up or down, you're actually turning up or down a range of frequencies preset by the manufacturer. Engineers, being the control freaks they are, want to be able to control the range of frequencies they are turning up or down. With a parametric, the bandwidth knob gives you this control over how wide the frequency range is. The knob's usually called Q. A thin bandwidth is normally labeled with a peak, whereas a wide bandwidth is often labeled with a hump. Sometimes ranges of musical octaves are also used, for example, 3/10 of an octave to 3 octaves. The obvious advantage of a parametric is the control you have over the bandwidth. If a parametric doesn't have a bandwidth knob, it isn't a full parametric, unless you're a salesperson in a music store. These days, many manufacturers are using the term parametric to refer to a paragraphic or semi-parametric, which has no bandwidth control. Those bandwidth controls are expensive. Roll-offs roll off low or high frequencies. They are commonly found on major consoles as high-pass and low-pass filters, and on smaller consoles as switches. A high-pass filter rolls off the low frequencies and does nothing to the highs. It passes them. It only rolls off the lows. This is especially helpful to get rid of low-frequency sounds such as trains, planes, trucks, air conditioners, earthquakes, or bleed from bass guitar or kick drum, and serious foot stomping. Low-pass filters roll off high frequencies like this. These are especially helpful for getting rid of hiss. Roll-offs can often be found on microphones and smaller mixing consoles like Mackie and Soundcraft as switches that simply roll off lows when the switch is engaged. It is important to get to know all of the frequencies of sound by name. You see, The truth of the matter is that we know all of the frequencies from 20 to 20,000 hertz by heart. Our entire system, our entire psyche was designed to perceive sound. Not only our ears, but every cell in our body is designed to perceive frequencies.
Here's a picture of a water molecule inside a cell of our skin, reacting to certain frequencies.
Actually, when we hear sound, every single molecule in our entire body is creating a pattern based on the sound coming in. This means that our entire body is perceiving sound, not just our ears. You see, we were born to hum, to sound that is. Our entire body and being was created to perceive sound. Therefore, we all know every single frequency by heart. We've been checking them all out since the womb. We know all frequencies and pitches intimately. The trick is to learn their names. We'll get into more detail on all of the frequency ranges and how to remember them in future videos. Then you'll be able to remember what boosting or cutting each frequency does to each instrument in the world.
Specialists don't seem to agree on how different frequencies affect us emotionally. Quite understandable because of the subjective nature of frequency perception. Psychologists to philosophers have written books about how sounds affect us emotionally and how people have organized their ways of perceiving difference in frequency. Different frequencies do affect us differently, both physiologically and psychologically, not to mention spiritually. However, even more powerful than the way specific frequencies make us feel is the way that combinations of frequencies make us feel.